Hey guys, Pecons here with another World of Warcraft gold making guide. Today we're going to be talking about what I did to make my gold in the first 4 weeks of Shadowlands. In the last 4 weeks I've had a total of 102.7 million gold in sales, which works out to around a 3.5 million gold average per day. Did actually spend a lot of gold leveling up my leatherworking, so my total gold spent ended up being 81 million. You can see my top item is Heavy Calcite. I imagine I probably spent half of that gold just leveling up my leatherworking to rank 3 and rank 4. And then our total profit in the last 4 weeks ended up being a little bit over 2 gold caps at 21.4 million. So not doing too bad. We were actually flat for around 2 weeks. Did hit gold cap pretty easily in the first week. Like I said, I was spending a lot of gold in leather. So we were flat for about 2 weeks. And then we've got some traction this past week. Just selling a lot of rank 2s, rank 3s, and rank 4s. So we went from around 6.1 million on the 17th all the way up to a little bit under 17 million, 16.6 as of today. So why don't we go ahead and talk about what I did to make my gold. Before we get started, I want to give a huge shout out to my supporters on Patreon for the month of December. Thank you Nish, Lachlan, Nadim aka Stormy, Liam, Cassie, Lord Ruin, as well as Leafman. Thank you guys for supporting the channel. My 2 goals for the first 4 weeks of Shadowlands was to have 100 million gold in sales, which we managed to hit with about a day to spare. I also wanted 10 million profit a week, which we did not hit in weeks 2 and 3. I think we actually missed in week 4 as well, but we got pretty close. But I did hit that goal pretty easily in week 1. So why don't we go ahead and start out by talking about the gold making that I was doing in week 1 and how I was able to make that gold so fast. During week 1, most of our gold came from Dark Moon decks and the Inscription Shuffle. You can see in the past month we've had 39.2 million gold come in from Inscription and selling Dark Moon decks. This number actually doesn't include the cards that we sold. I'll get into that a little bit later. But really solid sales with Inscription. The bulk of our gold during week 1 came from just Dark Moon decks. So it was like a really good market while it lasted. Unfortunately, the barrier to entry is pretty low as far as crafting this expansion, so the prices quickly tanked. It's still profitable and worth doing. So I shuffle on a second account. Just ran a rogue out here, learned Inscription, got it high enough, and yeah, I just do AFK crafting on that tune while I play on my main, which works out really well. This is what the Darkmoon card craft looks like this expansion. Reagents that you need: 7 Luminous ink, 7 Umbral ink, 1 Tranquil ink, and 1 Dark Parchment. Dark Parchment is just a vendor item, so don't buy it off the auction house. For Luminous and Umbral, I'm generally milling Death Blossom. Gives a 50-50 ratio of Umbral to Luminous. Generally the cheapest herb on most auction houses as well. On my realm, Rising Glory is sometimes cheaper, but this gives a 2-to-1 ratio of Luminous to Umbral. So unless you're getting into crafting things like the Crit or Haze missives, I would generally just stick to Death Blossom. You can see the Darkmoon card itself only requires 7 Luminous and 7 Umbral. So you want about the same quantity of each ink or each pigment when you mill. That's why most people will use Death Blossom. But missives are really good right now. You can see the crit ones require 8 Luminous to 2 Umbral. Haste is 6 to 4. So if you're crafting any of these, or if you're doing a mix of both Darkmoon decks and you want to do some missives as well, you can definitely pick up some cheap Rising Glory depending on the prices on your realm. So mill that, craft some Darkmoon decks or Darkmoon cards, as well as some missives to use up all of the inks, because you're going to end up with way more Luminous if you mill those over Death Blossom. This is what my TSM crafting window looks like right now. The values that were coming up weren't accurate. Did have to go in and edit some of the price sources and edit how the prices of inks were being calculated. taking into account mill rates, cheapest herbs that you could use, cheapest inks on the auction house, and so on. Big shout out to Koya for helping me out with that. I believe he's making a video on it, so if you want your TSM set up like mine, I'll link his video when he's done with it in the description below, and you can check that out. Pretty lengthy setup, but I think it's definitely worth it. Showing the accurate crafting values. You can see the versatilities are way more expensive than the other three, which makes sense, since it takes way more umbral, and umbral is actually very expensive to get at the moment. Haven't set my Dark Moon cards to show profit loss. So you can see the crafting cost is roughly 1367 on my realm, given the herb prices, prices of inks, as well as the price of pigments on my realm at the moment. So when you're trying to figure out the profit and loss, and you have your TSM set up correctly, you can just multiply this number by, if you're crafting a bunch of cards, you can probably use like 8 or 9 to give you the crafting cost per deck. But if you're crafting fewer cards, some of the cards are going to go to waste, so you may want to multiply it by like 10 or even 11. But I usually craft in bulk, probably a couple hundred cards at a time, so I just multiply this by like 9 or 10. And yeah, that'll give you a more accurate crafting cost. You can see the missives are actually pretty good. Haste one's 300 gold profit on that right now. Writs crafting at a loss. I think people craft those to level up inscription, and you can use them for opening up block boxes, but there isn't a huge demand. You can see the tomes are really good profit though. Oh, someone must have actually done a reset, showing a crafting cost of 480, and they're selling at a 520 gold profit. So I think someone reset to 1k. Yeah, min buyout right now is 1k, so it must have been a reset. You can see I've sold 1,000 of those. My average sale price is a little bit under 700 gold. So really nice. And Death Blossoms generally bounce between 20 gold to 30 gold on my realm. I think my average buy is probably close to 25 gold. So we're making like 200 gold profit on each of the tomes as well. Really hot item during on reset day, Wednesday, and weekends as well. A lot of people are running Mythic Plus and raids and stuff, so they'll usually pick up a few before they go into raid, and you can make some nice profit. I'm actually going to take advantage of that reset and go ahead and list them on the auction house. It's been a few days since we looked at our overview at the beginning of this video, but you can see my total sales are now at 115.9 million, a little bit under 116. We're averaging around 4 million gold per day. Gold spent around 90. Total profit is sitting at 26 million now. You can see our gold total in the past roughly like 10 days has shot up. Our low was 5 million on December 15th. And today on the 24th, we're sitting at a little bit over 23 million on this account. So we'll go ahead and talk about what got me that 18 million gold in the past 10 days. After Dark Moon decks, this has been the next best market for me in the past month. These are just the leather legendary bases. We've sold 748 of those so far, 31.7 million gold in revenue. This is just taking a look at leather pieces. I do also do the mail, as well as the jewel crafting ones, the ring of the neck. You can see we sell quite a few. Had a really nice sale on a rank 4 waist. I'm actually the only crafter of the rank 4 waist, I think, on my realm. So I have the monopoly on that. I think I raised my price up to 250 as well. So hopefully we can sell 1 or 2 more of those before we get a competitor. But you can see the majority of rank 3s and rank 4s this past week have been really good. Generally selling for between, I would say like low 50s, all the way up to like 120 for some of the rank 4s. Helm and shoulders, really solid. I think legs are really good as well. I think it's best in slot for Balanced Druid. So it's in pretty high demand. You can see we sell quite a few little legs, rank 4 at like 120. Another rank 4 vest. It's one. I actually have another competitor, I think, for the vest, but we managed to get a nice sale at 198 before he started undercutting us. But really solid market. So we'll talk briefly about this. So we do get a lot of revenue from the sale of the leatherworking base items, but it's also important to take a look at the cost. It is actually very expensive to rank up your leatherworking crafts. You can see just between the heavy calcite and normal calcite, I've spent over 40 million gold, and I don't actually have all the rank 4s yet. Did get all of my leather up to rank 4, and then I think about half of my melt pieces are rank 4 as well, but most of them are stuck on rank 3. I haven't also bothered to do ranking up the bracers. I think I got it to rank 2, but the demand for those is pretty low, so I haven't bothered to rank it up to 3 or 4, and it's probably going to be the last piece that I work on as far as getting to rank 4. We did luck out though. We got some leather really cheap 10 days ago, so I ended up buying out the auction house. Cost me roughly like 5 million gold, I think. Did that on stream, but I think it was definitely worth it. As you guys can see, the my gold graph pretty much like shot up, I think, because of this. Buying these at like 1k and like 1.1k, even like 1.2 and 1.3 is really good right now. You can see I've been spending like 1.5 recently. Yeah, just buying up pretty close to like 1.5. So those leathers that we had 10 days ago, really solid. I think as far as price, that was actually one of the cheapest prices on NA. Like all the realms, looking at all the realms. And then as far as supply, I think we were like number 3. I think Mal'Ganis was number 1, and then the Dragon Ball Cluster was number 2, and then my realm was number 3 as far as supply. And the prices were actually much lower compared to those 2 realms. So really lucked out. Got most of our rank 3s and rank 4s leveled up that week, and it's helped us make gold at a rapid pace the last 2 weeks, just selling the rank 3s and rank 4s. If getting into leatherworking legendary bases and Dark Moon decks is too costly, then I would say taking a look at missives is definitely worth it. Really hot market right now, and probably the 3rd best market for me in terms of sales. So we've sold 3,658 of those, 6.7 million in sales. Definitely not as high as the other 2 markets, but still worth taking a look at. Barrier to entry is like super low, and you can see some nice profits if you time your buys on the herbs correctly. And like I said, it does require a bit of setup to show the proper profit and loss, but it's pretty easy getting your mill rates set up correctly. That way you can take a look at which missives are going to be profitable, and also help determine which herbs are worth milling. But yeah, we sold 3,600, so that's like 120 per day, which is pretty solid. And I haven't actually been too aggressive with my undercuts on these. I'm generally more focused on the leatherworking market, since the margins on those are much bigger. But definitely a market to take a look at if you're starting out in gold making, you want to dabble in professions. Like I said, they're really hot right now because people do need 2 of each for their legendary. So something to take a look at for sure. Did mention this one already, but another really good market to take a look at if leveling up leatherworking for like rank 4 and rank 3s is out of your budget. Also good if you can invest in like Dark Moon cards. These actually don't require any Tranquil Ink either, so they're going to be much cheaper than missives to craft. Pretty good margins as well. You're just going to time your buys correctly on Death Blossom, which is generally the herb that I'm milling. Yeah, I usually pick those up for between like 20 to 25 gold. 25 if I'm like overpaying or I'm like desperate, but generally closer to 20. So my crafting cost on each of these I think is around like 400 gold. My average sale is a little bit under 700. So yeah, like 300 gold margin, pretty close to. So yeah, like 400k was our cost basis for the 1000 that we sold, and roughly like 300k profit. Like I said, I'm not too aggressive with my undercutting on these either. Just throw them up every once in a while in stacks of like 20 or 30. Really good during the week. There's a lot of people picking up mats for raid, consumables for raid, maybe even a few people picking them up for keys. So yeah, definitely another market to take a look at. Oil is really good as well if you have alchemy. Really time consuming to craft, and the margins are pretty slim, but if you're like on a low budget, if you have limited gold to invest in herbs, still something that you can do for a little bit of gold. Definitely worth mentioning. This is going to be the last thing we cover in this video, but once you have enough capital and gold coming in from professions and shuffling, you can get into BOV flipping. This is actually an example that we did on stream. Picked that up for 155k a little bit over 4 days ago. Managed to sell it for 380, so we made like a quick 220k profit. Yeah, and the turnaround on that was really quick. Sold it 3 days, 16 hours ago, so definitely within like a day. I think it was actually overnight. I remember listing it before I went to bed, and then waking up to like right when I logged on it sold. So really quick turnaround. I believe it was also the first week the 207s were available. So I think the seller wanted like a quick sell before the prices came down. I think it was priced too low, so I ended up picking it up and managed to sell it at 380. So really happy about that flip. You can start taking a look at stuff like this once you have enough capital. I would say you probably want to have at least 1 million liquid before you get into BOEs that are priced like between 100 and 200k. That way you're not like spending all of your gold on one item and trying to flip it. It can be fairly risky. It'll also give you plenty of capital to work with. You can pick up like multiple BOEs at the same time if you think they're good deals. And there's plenty of gold to be made by doing flips like this. That's going to be it for today's video. Thank you all for watching, and as always, a huge shout out to my supporters on Patreon. Hope you guys are making a ton of gold in Shadowlands and enjoying the new content, and I will catch you all in the next video. Late.